so happy we alive.
Good evening. This is Patrick Moore. Welcome to Louisville Late Night. This evening we're at the National Normal Conference in Washington, D.C., and we're privileged to have with us here a great leader in the decriminalization of hemp and indirectly a facilitator of health care, an attorney who's very active bringing a potent and relatively non-toxic medicine to millions of Americans potentially, and also someone who has a great deal of environmental concern and sensitivity, and someone who on his own is become nationally and internationally recognized as a mover and a shaker and a fearless, courageous warrior on the decriminalization of hemp and the knowledge of just what hemp is and how hemp can save the world. I want to introduce to you Mr. Don Wirtschafter. Don,
Louisville.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us. Also, tell us a little bit about the Ohio Hempery and if you would, how you came to be affiliated with that organization.
Well, in my small-town law practice, I kept getting these grower cases. People caught with marijuana, and even people caught with just seeds of marijuana. And looking into those cases, I saw that the seeds were also available in any pet food store, 5 and 10, wherever, as bird food. So the question on why those were legal but others weren't came up, and so in my research of that I discovered the hemp industry. In the old days, the hemp industry was a major part of our culture, while Louisville was one of the epicenters of the hemp industry. For almost 100 years the hemp was farmed there and shipped out of Louisville. Farmington, that estate there southeast of Louisville, was one big hemp plantation, as were many, many other farms in that region.
You're saying that hemp has Louisville has a pivotal role in the history of hemp in the United States?
Oh, yeah. The whole state of Kentucky, hemp was the predominant cash crop for over 100 years running.
Yeah.
So it was, defined as part of the major history of Kentucky, and we barely remember that in time. Yeah, Kentucky just got a hemp bill passed. It allows for study of hemp. That's a step in the right direction. I think the representatives and the senators that passed it are just wanting to go home and see if they get their heads chewed off for such a sensible measure. And
were you involved in that?
Oh,
initiative in Kentucky?
Oh, in the early days, but it took 6 years to get any kind of fair hearing about hemp in Kentucky. It was.
Did you work with Gatewood Galbraith at all?
Oh, Gate was a good buddy of mine for a long time. But
you're both attorneys too.
Yeah. There was a whole host of people that pulled together this coalition that got the Kentucky Hemp Bill passed, and for anybody who helped in that, I thank you.
And Don, where in Ohio were you saying, the small town where you're?
I live in Athens County, Ohio. We run the Ohio Hempery. It's 1-800-BUY-HEMP. Call for a catalog. And
is there a website?
It's hempery.com. I also would ask people to look at the Hemp Industries Association website, which is hempindustries.com, or a favorite site of mine is ecolution.com, ECOLUTION.com, and many others.
Would you tell us about the Ohio Hempery a little bit more? I mean, what is the Ohio Hempery? Do you make clothes, or does this have something to do with marijuana? Or
we started out in 1989 making hemp products. We started with hemp paper that we printed on with hemp oil ink. We got into twines and ropes, and then cloth and clothing, and then hemp seed oil and all the things you can make from hemp seed oil. And finally, nowadays that we can grow in Canada, we're into hemp foods. And that's the most fun aspect of hemp as far as I'm concerned.
Really? Incredible. Do you have a grocery? Or do you mail out
yeah,
food?
We're more of a distributorship because they won't let us grow hemp in this country, so it's all got to be done in Canada. So
you mean hemp is illegal totally? I mean, not marijuana, but hemp.
Oh yeah, the government mistakenly and for subterfuge says that hemp is marijuana. The DEA's just put out a fact sheet on that very issue, and that lie has been perpetrated for over 65 years. When Congress passed the law in 1937 to regulate the production of marijuana, it was very careful to separate out the legitimate hemp products from the scope of that law, but 30 years.
So as of right now, hemp is totally illegal.
Yeah, hemp is illegal to grow without a license. The Drug Enforcement Administration maintains that it has the responsibility to issue these licenses, but they won't do it. Nobody has gotten one yet.
Why not?
Well, among other reasons, they want 10-foot high fences with 2-foot angle bars. They want armed guard protocol. They want 24-hour supervision and guard towers and motion detectors and lights and safe to keep the seeds and all these requirements that meet stringent DEA regulations of what a drug company would have to have inside of a building where pharmaceuticals were manufactured. The regulations are not well adapted to growing plants, but the DEA is using these drug manufacturing regulations to keep anybody from getting a license. Finally, one pushy state representative from Hawaii was able to actually get one of these licenses, but she had the power of the government of Hawaii behind her and senators and congressmen, and they made them do it inside this 10-foot fence and what amounted to a tennis court size piece of property, and no real legitimate hemp research can take place under those kinds of conditions. And the shame of it is that hemp is not a substance that can be abused. There's no way to take industrial hemp that we would want to grow in Kentucky and turn it into a substance that anybody could use as a drug. And our point with the Drug Enforcement Administration is hemp is not marijuana. Every other country in the world is able to distinguish hemp from marijuana. Canada and Europe.
Is hemp legal in other countries besides
every
Canada?
other place but here you can grow hemp. Every country
Every
in Europe,
country
every country
except
in
the United
Asia.
States?
Every country in Europe and every country
Russia?
in Asia. Oh,
China?
yeah. China has a huge
The
long
communists?
history of... Oh, yeah, see, actually...
How
the
about,
hemp-
can Saddam grow hemp
The
too?
hemp industry survived because the communist countries didn't ban it like they did in the United States. And they exist as legitimate industries in places like Romania, Poland, China, and Russia, where they were encouraged. And so the hemp products that I'm wearing here, this is Romanian hemp from mills that were built to supply the communists. This is Romanian also, actually. Usually it's something else, but all the hemp is grown and processed in regions that the communists allowed to continue, where we totally wiped it out anywhere in the Western world.
Don, would you talk for a few minutes about the historical, economic ramifications of hemp over the years? Wasn't it used in the military or in the Navy for canvas for sales?
Well, at the time of settling this country, the cordage industry was the big industry. Everything needed cordage. The farmers needed cordage, the city people needed cordage, the ships needed cordage. The whole commerce ran on cordage. You think about how much rope it took to do about anything, hook up a stagecoach or sail a boat. All the rope sails and oakum for the boats. So the hemp industry was huge for about 100 and some years. It began to be replaced when the cotton gin made cotton easier and cheaper to process, and that affected all kinds of economic changes. When they finally figured out how to process hemp in the early part of this century, the industrialists were so concerned that hemp would wreak the same kind of economic changes that cotton did that they all band together to get rid of hemp and created the Reefer Madness campaign of the 30s that made everybody scared of this foreign invader named marijuana, and few people realized that it was industrial hemp that was really the subject of this
And what was industrial
legislation.
hemp threatening? What